This is not a tale of dogma, not a sermon, not a fable spun by a mystic, but the testimony of a man who ventured beyond the veil of life and returned with truths that echo in the quiet of our souls. His name was Edgar Cayce, a humble figure from Kentucky, not cloaked in grandeur, not seeking fame, not preaching salvation, but carrying a gift that pierced the boundary between the seen and unseen. In the stillness of a night, when the world's noise faded, when the heart's questions grew loud, he found himself drawn into a state he called trance, a sleep that was no sleep, a departure from the body that was no dream. This is the beginning of his journey, the moment when the ordinary dissolved and the extraordinary unfolded, when Edgar Cayce left his body and glimpsed the mystery of life after death. It began in a modest room, the air heavy with silence, the dim light of a lamp casting shadows on the walls. Edgar, a man of soft words and searching eyes, sat quietly, his breath slowing, his mind releasing its grip on the world. He did not seek this moment, did not chase visions, did not beckon the unknown. Yet it came, unbidden, undeniable. His body grew still, his hands resting gently, his chest rising and falling like a tide ebbing into calm. Then, a sound, faint at first, a ringing, not of bells, not of voices, but of something deeper, like the hum of the universe itself, calling him forward. The ringing grew, filling his being, until it was no longer sound but sensation, a vibration that loosened the ties of flesh. He felt no fear, no pain, only a lightness, as if the weight of the world slipped away, as if he were shedding a coat worn too long. His consciousness lifted, not with effort, not with struggle, but with ease, like a leaf caught in a gentle wind. He saw his body below, lying serene, a vessel at rest. Yet, he was not in it, not bound by it. The room, once familiar, now seemed distant, its edges soft, its colors muted. As if it belonged to a dream he no longer dreamed. He floated, not with wings, not with form, but with awareness, clear, sharp, alive. The ringing faded, replaced by a warmth, a light, not blinding, not harsh, but enveloping, like the embrace of a long-forgotten home. He did not move, yet he was moving, not walking, yet arriving, drawn toward a space where the rules of Earth no longer held sway. In this space, there were no walls, no ceilings, no floors, only light, endless, soft, pulsing with a rhythm that felt like life itself. He sensed others, not as figures, not as faces, but as presences, souls, essences, each one known, yet unnamed. There were no words, no sounds, only understanding, instant, complete, as if thoughts were not spoken but shared, as if knowledge was not learned but remembered. He felt no judgment, no separation, only connection, a unity that made him wonder why he ever felt alone. This was not heaven, not paradise, not a place, but a state, a being, a truth that held him gently, whispering secrets he had always known but forgotten. Edgar Cayce, in this first step beyond, did not yet see the full tapestry of life after death, did not yet grasp the answers he would carry back, but he felt the promise, the pull of something greater. His journey had just begun, a path that would unravel mysteries, a light that would guide him through realms unseen. For now he lingered in this moment, suspended in light, aware, alive, free. And if you listen closely, if you let the noise of the world fade, you might feel it too, that same light, that same call waiting within you, ready to unfold. In the boundless light where Edgar Cayce's soul hovered, untethered from the body he left behind, a new vision emerged, not born of eyes, not shaped by senses, but woven from a deeper knowing. The space around him pulsed, alive, vibrant, its glow neither bright nor dim, but perfect, as if it held the essence of all that ever was. He felt no time, no weight, only presence, only being. And then before him, a marvel unfolded, a phenomenon he would later call the Vortex of Memory. A swirling cascade of light and meaning, not a place, not an object, but a revelation, a mirror for the soul. This was no judgment hall, no court of reckoning, but a sacred encounter where the mystery of life after death began to unveil itself, where Edgar Cayce witnessed the truth of what lingers beyond the veil. The vortex shimmered, its currents flowing like a river of stars, each thread a moment, each spark a choice, each ripple a life. He saw souls not as forms, not as shadows, but as radiant essences, newly freed from their earthly shells, standing before this vortex, not in fear, not in shame, but in quiet awe. They did not speak, did not plead, yet their stories poured forth, not as words, not as images, but as music, a symphony of joy, sorrow, love, regret. Each note clear, each chord true. Every word they had spoken, every hand they had held, every silence they had kept, played within this melody, not to condemn, not to praise, but to reveal. Cayce watched, his own soul still, as one soul stepped closer, its light mingling with the vortex, and in that moment, it understood, not what it had done, but why, not the act, but the intent, the heart behind the deed. No voice accused, no hand pointed, yet the soul saw itself, saw the ripples of its kindness, the waves of its anger, the echoes of its love. It felt the warmth of a stranger's smile, sparked by a forgotten gesture, the ache of a wound left by a careless word, the weight of a grudge held too long. There was no punishment, no reward, only truth, raw, gentle, undeniable. Cayce sensed the soul's realization, not as thought, not as emotion, but as clarity, a knowing that wove together every choice into a single question. Did I live as I truly am? The vortex did not demand answers, did not impose lessons, but offered insight, a chance to see, to feel, to grow. Other souls appeared, each drawn to the vortex, each meeting their own melody, their own truth. Some glowed brighter, their notes harmonious, their lives a dance of compassion. Others flickered, their songs heavy, their choices clouded by fear. Yet even they were not cast aside, not shunned, but held, embraced by the light, invited to learn. Cayce felt the presence of a guide, not a figure, not a voice, but a warmth, a wisdom, whispering without words. This is not the end, this is the beginning, a step toward becoming. He saw souls linger, some ready to move forward, some pausing, reluctant, clinging to the familiar, yet all were met with patience, with love, with time that was no time. Edgar Cayce, in this radiant encounter, did not yet grasp the full scope of life after death, did not yet see the realms that awaited, but he felt their promise, their purpose. The vortex of memory was no gatekeeper, no judge, but a teacher, a mirror, a song that sang of truth. He stood, not apart, not above, but within, a witness to the soul's eternal journey, a traveler learning what it means to live, to die, to become. And if you pause, if you listen, you might hear it too, that distant melody, your own song, waiting to be remembered, waiting to be sung. Beyond the vortex of memory, where Edgar Cayce's soul lingered in the glow of unveiled truths, a new journey beckoned, not through force, not through command, but through a gentle pull, like a tide drawing him deeper into the mystery of life after death. The light around him shifted, not dimming, not brightening, but expanding, as if the universe itself exhaled, revealing realms unseen, layers of existence woven from the essence of being, guided by a presence, not a form, not a voice, but a warmth that felt like love made tangible. Cayce moved, not with steps, not with motion, but with awareness, into a tapestry of realms where souls found their place, not by judgment, not by decree, but by the truth of their own light. This was no final destination, no end, but a passage, a revelation of the soul's eternal becoming, where Cayce saw the choices that shaped the journey beyond. The realms unfolded, each distinct, each alive, yet connected. Like notes in a boundless symphony, one was serene, a stillness like a lake at dawn, its light soft, its air heavy with peace, where souls rested, their glow steady, their hearts aligned with love they had given, love they had learned. Another pulsed, vibrant, fluid, like a river in spring, where souls danced in change, their light flickering, their essence seeking growth, healing wounds left by fear, by doubt. Cayce saw no gates, no chains, only flow, only harmony. Each soul drawn to the realm that mirrored its inner truth, its unspoken song. The guide's warmth whispered, not in words, not in sound, but in knowing, you do not arrive, you become, you do not fall, you rise, you are where your heart has always been. He saw souls, radiant, free, choosing their paths, not compelled, not coerced, but called by a longing within. Some lingered in the quiet realms, content, complete, their light a steady flame, yet others, restless, brave, turned toward a different choice, a return, a rebirth into the world of flesh, of pain, of joy. Cayce watched, his own soul hushed, as one soul, its glow a mix of shadow and starlight, stood at the edge of a realm, its essence trembling with purpose. It did not speak, yet he felt its resolve. I will go back. I will love again. I will learn what I could not before. The choice was no burden, no sacrifice, but a vow, a spark of courage, a promise to grow brighter, deeper, truer. The guide's presence enveloped him, its wisdom clear, its love unspoken, showing him that these realms were not rewards, not punishments, but reflections. States of being shaped by the soul's own journey. A soul heavy with resentment lingered in a realm of mist, not trapped, not lost, but waiting, learning to forgive, to release. Another, radiant with compassion, soared in a realm of endless dawn, not exalted, not crowned, but home, its light a beacon for others. Cayce understood, not with thought, not with reason, but with clarity. Life after death is no verdict. It is a mirror, a chance to see, to choose, to become what you have always been. Edgar Cayce, in this passage through realms, felt the weight of eternity, not as time, not as distance, but as possibility, as purpose. He saw the soul's freedom, its power to shape its path, to return, to rise, to heal. The realms were no end, no boundary, but a beginning, a canvas where each soul painted its truth. He stood, not as observer, not as judge, but as witness, his own light trembling with the promise of what lay ahead. And if you listen, if you let your heart still, you might feel it too, that same promise, that same choice, stirring within you, calling you to become. In the radiant expanse of realms, where Edgar Cayce's soul drifted through the tapestry of light and becoming, a deeper truth began to crystallize, not as words, not as visions, but as a knowing that pierced the core of his being. The realms, with their serene lakes, their flowing rivers, their endless dawns, were not the end, not a destination, but a mirror, a reflection of the soul's essence, its choices, its love. Guided by the ever-present warmth, that silent wisdom without form, Cayce felt the journey shift, not outward, not forward, but inward, toward a revelation that bound the mystery of life after death to the heart of life itself. Here, in this sacred stillness, he grasped the question that every soul must answer, not to a judge, not to a god, but to itself. Have I lived true to the light within me? This was no fleeting insight, no passing thought, but the cornerstone of eternity, the truth that reshaped his understanding of all that is, all that will be. The light around him softened, not dimming, not fading, but deepening, as if it invited him to see, not with eyes, not with mind, but with soul. He saw the question, not as words, not as sound, but as a pulse, a rhythm that echoed in every soul he had witnessed, in every realm he had crossed. It was not about deeds, not about triumphs, not about failures, but about intent, about the heart's quiet truth. A soul, radiant in its love, shone brighter, not for its actions, but for the purity of its giving, its courage to care despite pain. Another, shadowed by fear, flickered, not condemned, not lost, but heavy. Its light dimmed by choices made in doubt, yet still held, still offered the chance to grow. Cayce felt the weight of this truth, not as burden, not as judgment, but as clarity. Life after death is not a reckoning, it is a remembering, a return to the self you were always meant to be. He understood, not through reason, not through study, but through feeling, that the realms were not separate, not distant, but connected, woven into the fabric of existence, each a step, each a lesson. The soul did not travel to find heaven, did not flee to escape hell, but arrived where it already was, its light, its love, its truth shaping its place. The question, have I lived true, was no test, no trial, but a gift, a mirror held gently, asking not for perfection, not for answers, but for honesty. Cayce saw souls pause, their glow shifting as they faced this question, some trembling with recognition, others radiant with peace, all learning, all becoming. The guide's presence, that boundless warmth, enveloped him. Its wisdom, a silent song. You are not your body, not your name, not your fears. You are light, you are love, you are eternal. Cayce felt the question turn within him, not as doubt, not as shame, but as awakening, a call to see his own life, his own heart, his own truth. He realized that life after death was not a place to reach, not a prize to win, but a state to embody, a truth to live, even now, even here. The soul's journey was no end, no beginning, but a continuous unfolding, a dance of remembering who you are. Edgar Cayce, in this moment of clarity, stood at the heart of the mystery, not as seeker, not as prophet, but as soul, alive, aware, eternal. The question lingered, not as weight, not as challenge, but as invitation, a whisper that echoed beyond realms, beyond time. He felt the promise of life after death, not as escape, not as reward, but as home, as truth. And if you still your mind, if you open your heart, you might feel it too, that same question, that same light, asking you, calling you, to live true, to be you. From the heart of the mystery, where Edgar Cayce's soul stood bathed in the truth of life after death, a gentle pull stirred, not a command, not a summons, but a soft return, like a tide drawing him back to the world of flesh, of time, of breath. The light of the realms, the question that echoed, the warmth of the guide, all lingered within him, not as memory, not as vision, but as knowing, a truth etched into his being. Slowly, the boundless expanse faded, not vanishing, not lost, but receding as his consciousness descended, not with reluctance, not with sorrow, but with purpose. Back to the body he had left, back to the room, the lamp, the quiet night. This was no end, no departure, but a bridge, a moment where the eternal touched the temporal, where Edgar Cayce carried the light of eternity into the world, to share, to awaken, to remind. His body stirred, heavy at first, unfamiliar, like a garment too small for the vastness he had known. His eyes opened, not to the dim room, not to the shadows, but to a world transformed, its edges softer, its colors deeper, its silence alive with meaning. He felt the weight of return, not as burden, not as loss, but as duty. A call to speak what he had seen, to offer what he had learned. The truth of life after death was no secret to hoard, no doctrine to preach, but a gift, a whisper to share with those who yearned, who questioned, who sensed the light beyond the veil. He sat, still, silent, not from doubt, not from fear, but from reverence, for words seemed too narrow, too frail, to hold the vastness of what he knew. Yet, speak he did, not with grandeur, not with authority, but with humility, his voice soft, his eyes deep, carrying the warmth of the realms. He said, "The death you fear is no end, it is a door, a passage to truth, to light, to you." He spoke of the question, have you lived true, not as judgment, not as test, but as invitation, a call to live now, to love now, to be now. He shared that life after death is not a place, not a prize, but a state, a remembering of the light you are, the light you carry. He urged, not with force, not with demand, but with care. Live with honesty, with compassion, with courage, for every choice, every moment shapes the soul's eternal song. His words reached hearts, not as teaching, not as prophecy, but as recognition, a spark that stirred the silent knowing within. People listened, not with ears, not with minds, but with souls, feeling the truth they had forgotten, the light they had dimmed. He spoke to the grieving. Your loved ones are not gone, they are near, their light shines, waiting for you to shine too. He spoke to the lost. You are not alone, you are not random, you are purpose, you are love. He called, not to follow him, not to believe him, but to listen within, to hear the whisper of your own soul, to answer its question, to live its truth. Edgar Cayce returned from the realms, lived not as mystic, not as sage, but as messenger, a quiet voice in a noisy world. He knew the hardest part was not to see eternity, not to cross the veil, but to return, to live as if you know, to shine in a world that forgets. And if you pause, if you listen, you might hear his call, not his voice, not his words, but the truth he carried, the light he shared. Close your eyes, still your heart. Feel the question, am I true, Leave a sign, a word, a breath to say, I hear, I know, I am. Share this light with one who wanders, one who seeks, for you are not alone, you are light, you are home.